So when I was creating this call, and obviously we've gone this year into a bit more of call themes. We've in the past done generic office hours, and you know what I'm like, I think that that's fine, but sometimes it's like if you're anything like me, your brain can't brain until someone gives you something to think about, and then all of a sudden questions come up. And I feel that ever since Gmail, all of the changes that we had last year rolled out. There has been so many changes as well in social media as someone chronically online on TikTok continually and seeing even consumer behavior of people saying that they want to boycott Zuckerberg. There are so many changes. And I think as someone that has been in business for 16 years, it's really interesting that you could go all the way back to 2009 and you could be doing the same things in 2009 and the same things in 2011, and they would pretty much convert the same. But we are at a point in business where stuff is moving so fast that if we aren't continually just on top of things and adapting to things and aware of them, we may find that like if we take just our eyes off what we're doing and we look over here and then we come back, we're like, oh my God, shit, what has changed? So what I've done with today is we're looking at trends and changes. When I went into this, I was also really researching around like what a lot of the I would call leaders in email marketing are sharing about, a lot of people in deliverability. And it was really interesting as well, their perspectives on things and what they have to say. So this is going to be very much an update on our hot little trends, but also some updates on what is happening in email marketing land and also what I am actually seeing that's happening and unfolding online and how I really think that this is going to affect the email marketing landscape. Now, not everything is going to apply for every business. Of course, in Give Good Email, we have a variety of you hot and beautiful people in here. We've got our Nancys, our Valeries, our Sams, and our Chads. There are going to be some things, especially for those that work with other businesses and do consulting with bigger organizations, especially when we get to the authentication section. All right, let's get to it. If any questions come up, as always, put it in the chat. I've got that open, so I will answer as we go through. For those Diary of a CEO podcast fans in the house, we have Daniel Priestley to thank for this one. The waitlist. It's really funny that, for me, I see waitlists as an extension of email marketing. People opt into your mailing list to get updates via email. And it's so funny now that this has kind of become its own thing. And I truly believe that it is only a matter of time because the best of the best listen to that podcast. He has, okay, that thing, there we go. He has 1 billion streams. And I can see now that we are going to have an emergence of everyone moving away from funnels are amazing. It's going to be waitlist funnels, or people are going to be talking about waitlist. Now, in Give Good Email, in our in our automations module, we have hot waitlists. And waitlists are essentially an incredible way to validate something that you have not created, or if you have already created it and you plan on running it in the future, something that you can put out there to one, gauge interest, see who's keen. This can be a really good way if you need to actually refine any messaging that you have. But where it's also really good is it is an incredible way to actually cut costs and cut the reduction of costs. And I think that this is why we're actually going to see a big uptake of them. I think back in the day, brands and businesses were a lot more likely to try something new. They're like, let's just try it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. They weren't too worried about investing a lot more money into something and then refining it along the way. And I think a lot more people have become risk averse. And where waitlists are incredible is you are kind of launching or doing something behind the scenes. You have a very like inconspicuous, like little opt-in that can just be a bit vague with whatever you say. Okay, it doesn't need to be course coming soon. It can even be something where it's like if you are interested in this, or if you are, I know we've got a beautiful wine company, if you're a red wine drinker, you'll want to listen in. So you can really use curiosity to get people to come across. And what's amazing with this is you don't even need to go into the production or the creation stage. You can actually watch your waitlist, see what happens here, start to validate an offer or validate an idea before we actually move forward with it further. Okay. It is easier and cheaper to validate offers, and you can fail fast behind the scenes. Now, what this is also really good for all of the course providers or people that run programs or any kind of intake, if it is a timed intake, what this is really good for as well, just a little not an email tip, but a business tip, is if you work out your numbers and your profitability, you actually can launch on waitlist, sell to the person where you break even. So where all of your costs are covered. And then when you sell to the next person, you're starting to be in profit, and you then can actually launch publicly so that you know that when you go on social media, you are already profitable. So if anything has to change behind the scenes, it's not going to be something that feels like, oh my gosh, what are people going to think? We've had to change this, because it's all happening behind the scenes. Like, no one really knows what's happening. If you want a good example of this, if you look up, and I was obsessed with this. So Phoebe Philo, I think this was in 20, was it in 2023? Yeah, 2023. Her wait list went viral. So if you type in like Phoebe Philo wait list, you will actually see that this literally went viral. It was so funny to me as a marketer, that this email was talked about on Twitter and in the news and everywhere. And I was like, I'm obsessed with this. So now that Daniel Priestley is talking about it, I think that that is going to be something that we are going to see. So what could you do to create a waitlist in 2025? What you can think about here is any service offering that you have, just any little idea. And then what we've got, as always, we have you covered in Give Good Email with hot waitlists and automation module. I want to say as well, before we continue, something that I noticed as we're going through this, and I felt really just happy with the curriculum, is that there is no real hard changes left or anything that really needs a lot of refinement, because what you're already doing is what I'm going to tell you to do. So a lot of the time I'm just going to be repeating just some things, saying this is good, but we've got you covered here. So don't ever feel stressed like this is just going to be like another huge thing to learn, or another thing that you kind of have to master, or like a big change in your business. So if we've got any questions on waitlist, pop that in the chat. All right. I don't need to tell you about AI. Of course, I'm going to have to include it in here, because if we didn't include AI, you'd be like, why has she not covered AI? But we are going to be seeing a lot of AI and content development. You do not need a workshop to know that AI is here to stay. Uptake is absolutely going to be going through the roof. I think that we have a lot of pros with that, and we have a lot of cons with that. I think that eventually in the future, some will be rolling it out sooner than others. So what I will say here is, when you see ESP, that stands for email service provider. And these are your companies like your MailChimp, your ConvertKit, your Flowdesk, Campaign Monitor, any person that is, any company, sorry, that is going to send your newsletters and your emails. They will eventually, I believe, have AI features roll out. And this could be something where it's, looking at past content that you've done, or like a little subject generator. And I think I would be conscious to kind of jump ship the first ESP that releases something amazing, because I think that in future, they're all going to have some kind of capability. And even if your software doesn't, we're really, really lucky that you have so many tech software that is. On this wonderful call, we have Mariana, and she is incredible at this. So if you aren't following her on Instagram, I don't know if you want to put your Insta in the chat. She is always putting some stuff around AI. She is incredible. And I'm pretty sure you post a lot on Threads as well. As I think more probably Threads than Insta, I've seen this stuff. Is that right? Yeah.
I do both, but
Yeah.
because I don't have to show my face in Threads, I've been putting more of it on Threads. Yeah.
Perfect. We love that. We love that. So, what I'm seeing happening is, I feel that people now are having a lot more confidence to email, because they may feel like, oh, well, if I write this and it sounds crap, let me just get Chat to check it, or Claude AI to check it. I'm a huge fan of Claude. It is amazing. I will come back to that waitlist question when I finish this. So, I have definitely seen these. What we're going to see though is more people email. the inbox is going to get more competitive. And what you may find, and maybe you are even witnessing this now, that your unsubscribes have gone a bit maybe higher. I'm going to cover that a bit later. But I think that people are going to become less tolerant because there are going to be more emails that are actually hitting their inbox. What I was thinking as well is I think now, especially for the fact that you can take a screenshot, you can upload that into AI and you can be like, I want you to assess this. Like, what are they doing well? How can we add elements into what we're doing? I do think that we are going to see a bit more copycat content. And I think anytime that you are a real tastemaker and a trendsetter in what you do, you are going to be elevated to a point where you have so many eyeballs, people are going to be inspired, and you may start to see people rip off your content. That always happens, which I know is annoying, but I do think that we are going to see this. Now, one thing that I actually saw emerge when we were going to have the potential TikTok ban, and we're not going to get into that because that is going to be a whole call in itself. But I was noticing in the comments that there were so many people that were like, if Daddy Zuck buys TikTok, I'm leaving Meta altogether. And there were some people who were like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm actually just going to leave Meta. And what was really interesting with this is even though Instagram wasn't really even involved in that, there have been people that have just changed how they do things altogether. And because, you know, if we are building an audience or we are building a business on a platform that we don't own, we are always at the mercy of any rules and regulations and opinions that they have. Now, I have some friends, I love them. They are very controversial people. They have strong opinions. They are continually banned. They're always getting a new Instagram because it's been shut down, whatever it is. The cool thing is with email, that is going to be less likely for that to happen. As always, read the terms and conditions, make sure that you are not doing anything illegal with the software. Some software randomly has like excluded industries, like quite a few exclude real estate agents. A lot exclude network marketing. So just make sure that you are reading that. But what I love is that they write content as well that doesn't really feel like AI because it's so in their brand voice. And I feel sometimes where if you feel like that when you write and it feels a little bit passionate and messy, I don't actually think that that is a bad thing because I feel as we are moving forward into this like perfected content era, I think a lot of people are going to be attracted to that. I did have to laugh because I did see a woman on LinkedIn the other day and she said that she will add, and I thought the comments were so funny. She was like that she purposely adds a typo in an email to be a more brand relatable. And I'm like, there are so many more ways that you can do that without like purposely just adding random little typos. So I thought that that was really quite interesting. Now, what I was seeing as well, and I've seen this come up on threads, is that a lot of people, they're already over AI. They're like, I am over people that I know didn't write that, or that doesn't even sound like them. They see an M dash and they're like, which is that beautiful long line that is my best friend. And I didn't realize that ChatGPT loves an M dash. So what is happening now is people are seeing things that they associate with chat and they are disengaging straight away. Now, what will solve this is your personalization, which we can do from segmentation. So this is sending relevant content to the right people. Hyper personalization goes even further into that, which we're going to cover. All right. And what I was thinking as well is it's going to be really interesting for email service providers to see if they actually have different benchmarks for AI content versus non-AI content, and things where, you know, if they have AI features within the software, is this going to be something where they're like, your AI content performed at this level and the one that you actually did manually performed at this level. So what you can start to do now is in your email software, just have something where maybe you're putting, you know how you can title like in Flowdesk, We can kind of have like our reference. We can write something. So when I'm going through, I can be like, oh, yeah, that was the newsletter that we sent on this date, or it was to this segment. You could maybe put like a little asterisk or something where it's an identifying feature where you're like, oh, we really heavily used AI here, or that was that thing where I got that rant that I wrote on Instagram. I chucked it in Claude and I was like, Claude, can you please make sense of this? And I want you to write it to this person, and I want them to perceive this as an uplifting email, right? And Claude finesses that, you chuck that in. That you can kind of have your different benchmarks as well. I think that that would be something for you to really, really, really keep an eye on. Now, I have put here that AI is not just writing. And I feel that this is where a lot of people are thinking, how can I write? How can I help with content output? It can streamline absolutely everything. It can help you refine your strategy, interpret data at scale, and even spot ideas for segmentation. So don't feel that you need to kind of lose the creative element of emailing. You can kind of help yourself by using this as like a little email strategist as well. What I would do, and I've written a note here, to create some benchmarks around emails where you're like, AI really helped me out here versus ones that are a bit more manual. Now, if you want another Peter tip, if there is anything that you really focus on that you make absolutely premium 10 out of 10, it is any entry point to the business. Because when people have had a genuinely good experience, they are going to be a lot more forgiving. So put a lot more work into your welcome flow. Maybe you're going to go and audit. Maybe people come in through a lead magnet or a strategic freebie, whatever it is. Just give them an audit. And what I would do, if you don't have a tone of voice guideline, some of you would, some of you would not, I want you to really read it and be like, does this sound like me? Is this really engaging? Knowing that we are entering an era of this AI fatigue potentially, where people are just over excessive content output, is this something that I would just stop and read? Is the like what is happening above the fold catching my eye? If it's e-commerce, is it this beautiful image that draws me in, or this beautiful display text where I want to keep reading? So now is a time to give everything an audit. And what I would probably recommend is that if you weren't doing this regularly, that we're now doing this quarterly, so that we're going through and we are just auditing everything and making sure that it sounds like us, that it's still really engaging. Now, we do have two incredible copywriters and business geniuses that I'm obsessed with. We have Give Good Prompts in the writing and content module, and this was by Amy from Damn Right. That is a fantastic call. If you have not watched it, she is incredible. And then we have Write Emails Like a Motherfucking Copywriter in Sell with Email, and this is from Elise from Bossy Copy. That is not an AI specific call, but as we go towards the end, she does give some examples on how she uses chat in her business, and it's amazing. All right, question. How far in advance would you suggest a waitlist prior to when you are planning to holding an event, webinar, and workshop? Okay, fantastic question. This can vary on a variety of factors on if people know about the offering already. And what I mean by that is, let's just pretend that Give Good Email was a live launch model, so you could only join twice a year. I've been launching this since 2021. People hear Give Good Email, they know of me. So I don't need to have a wait list for maybe too long to sell. But what I would do in that instance is, as soon as we close cart, we have a wait list go up straight away. And if we were to even only launch twice a year, I would feel absolutely fine to have a wait list up for 5 to 6 months, knowing that I want to nurture these people so much that when we open cart, they are ready to buy. So that is where you want to kind of flip your way of thinking, where you think about it. The sales doesn't start when cart is open. We want these people to be ready to buy. So what you also can have a look at in Give Good Email is it's in the automation module. We've got our sales automations and 4 customer archetypes. If in doubt, go longer, but I never want anyone to feel like that, oh shit, we only have 2 weeks, I shouldn't do a wait list. Because at the end of the day, people on your list are still people on your list. And if you feel like that they haven't had enough time to be nurtured by email, this is where you can see email as an extension of you, and you get to come in and maybe just like close the deal or have a bit of a conversation or just send them like a voice message on Instagram, just being like, oh my gosh, Kay, I'm so excited that you've joined the waitlist. It's going to be truly amazing. Here are just some little details. Let me know how you're feeling. Like, is this something that you're wanting to like explore in your business in Q2? Not everyone is going to respond to that. Some people will respond to that. And if anyone wants an incentive to do that, and I'm sure she'll be fine with this, we have the sexy Sam, who looks sensational, I will say, on this call. And I sent her some content on the weekend. And Tuesday, I sent her a voice message and was like, I was literally walking up the street getting a coffee. And I said to her, have you had a chance to look at it? I would love to hop on Zoom because there's just some things I want to show you. Can you make it work today, or do you have time tomorrow? Otherwise, if you're like, this is a hard no, we can just leave it. And Sam bought. So now I obviously have a really established relationship. I have known Sam longer than even 2020. So there is that. But don't overlook just adding a bit of a human element and that just a little bit extra service, which I think, and here is another trend, being in the era of automation, a lot of people are going to try to automate everything where you cannot automate a human doing really good business service as well. That is my question too. How long to ensure the work is attended? What I would probably do, a good benchmark, you know what? Like, let's aim for 6 weeks. 6 weeks of good, solid nurturing. Anything more, amazing. Anything less is going to be fine. What I would recommend doing here is that I'm a real visual person. I would map it out on Post-its, or you can print out like your Google Calendar so you can see the days and then just map things out. The touch points are continually changing. You know, when everyone's like, it takes 8 touch points, it takes this. I think that now with socials, that is just out the window. But exactly, Sam. Nurturing is hot and never feels salesy. And it really depends what you are using the waitlist for as well, I'll say. If you are using this for the development of a product and service, so if you are creating it along the way, have a longer waitlist because you actually can use those people to validate what's happening, ask them questions, really get them involved in the process as well, compared to a waitlist for a product that's ready to go and you want to build hype as well. Any questions around that, as always, pop it in the Facebook group. I am always there. I'm always checking it. Just make sure you tag me because sometimes for whatever reason, stuff just doesn't come up. But any questions about that, please let me know. All right. One of the most significant changes that we had in email marketing was around the Gmail changes that we had in, when was that? February 1st, 2024, where we really positioned authentication. You know, Hairflick in Give Good Email, we have always told you that you need to be authenticated as a standard, which is why I said at the start of the call, I don't want anyone to freak out because I've always told you to do this stuff. But what we need as a standard is our full sexy authentication stack, our SPF, our DKIM, and our DMARC. In Give Good Email, we have got our, there's like a little module in there around the Gmail updates. You can watch that. There is a roadmap to compliance that will walk you through it. But what we're seeing as well, and maybe if you did some research here, and this came out around when all of the information around being authenticated did, there is something called BIMI, which we're going to go over on the next slide. 99.5% of people in Give Good Email do not need to worry about this because you are going to have to pay for this. But what it looks like is and I'm going to go back to that. It looks like this. So where people have their little verified sender logo. Now, what you can do, and post this call, I'm going to put the links in here if you want to have a read of it. This is just a really good article about what it is, what it means as well. But you'll see here on point number 4, you need a verified mark certificate for Gmail. They vary, but this is around like what I've seen online, about $2,000 a year. So it's like, you know, with your website, how you've got your SSL certificate, this is just another thing to add. Now, if you can see here, and all of these stats are continually changing, isn't it so funny? It does feel that long ago. I have taken a screenshot. Now, this is slightly out of date. And one thing to remember for everyone in tech moves so fast that if you are still looking at articles around like strategy and tech from 2022, that is just so out of date because stuff moves so fast. However, this article did have an update. Demartian is amazing. And fun fact, the man who developed Demartian actually was a key participant in creating DMARC. How fun is that? So that is why I like to reference this website, because he had a really key part in developing that. Not everyone needs this, and it's also not supported by every inbox. I think Microsoft, that doesn't even show up, okay? But for people that have bigger businesses, if you have corporate clients, this is going to be very important, especially with, and we can think about this, you know, we get an email from a bank. How do we even know it's our bank? We get a call. How do we know? So for smaller businesses, this is not essential. But if you are a bigger business, I think especially in a space where you are handling sensitive data, something like this would be good for you to kind of look at and investigate, because I feel that rollout will be more. But you can see here, 14% of the world's top million domains. I don't even know how they even work that out. Published to BIMI record. Actually, I think that was 0.14. I think that's a typo because it was not a lot. So if you go and have a look at that, or you can even type into Google like BIMI uptake, statistics, and you'll see that it is not a lot, which is why I'm like, don't freak out about this feeling like it's another thing and feeling like you have to do that. Most people in Give Good Email, this is just not even going to be on your radar. It may be down the future if they make it more like accessible, and it's something where it's like a $10 fee and they recommend that you all have it. Or if changes happen where like back where we had to have our DMARC, our SPF, and our DKIM, where now they're like, great, we're adding a fourth and it's BIMI. But for now, do not stress about it. Okay. One thing that I'm seeing come across is ManyChat style emails. I don't know how I feel about them. I feel that this has to be on brand, and you have to be really conscious of how you do this. And what this looks like, I tried to get an example, but I ruthlessly delete my emails, so I couldn't find one that was what I mean. But when you see it, you'll be like, oh, yes. It's something where, and we'll come back to that, it looks like copy, and then down the bottom, reply with this and I will send you the link, or reply with this, and it gets you to reply with a word. What you need to be conscious of is sometimes if someone is just sending one word back, that email for you will end up in spam because it will just look a little bit suspicious to your inbox. So if this is part of your strategy, you need to make sure that you are checking spam daily, because you will be surprised all of the stuff that actually ends up in there. I don't think that this is on brand for every business. I feel that if you do stuff like this, and this would, and where I've seen it is a shorter email, where it could be something like, hey, Peter, I am, and I've seen this before, I am running a case study and I have 4 spots left. If you want the details, hit reply with case study and I'll send them to you. That for me, I would personally only do with a super warm segment. And my warm segment would be anyone in Give Good Email. I would feel fine to send you an email like that. I would not send it all the time. It's kind of like, I don't know, going on a bender where you're drinking 2 bottles of champagne in a night and you end up eating like half of the contents of McDonald's. You can't do that every week because it's just going to kill you. And in this case, it's going to kill your brand. So this is, can you promise me anything with this reply once a quarter? Now, that being said, your brand, you could be like, this works really well. People love it. This is my business all over. Go for it. Maria Went does it. However, and I'll put her in the chat, if you look at her social content is the same as her emails. And that's why it works. The captions and how she does content is hit reply with this word. Her emails are exactly the same. So we want to make sure that we have some brand consistency and that we don't give people this beautiful visual experience, and then when they get on our list, we just fucking assault them with this hit reply with checklist, because I think this is going to date really quickly. Okay. As I said here, there is a risk and reward balance. It is really easy for businesses to do, but just be conscious with it. And again, have trust prerequisites for interactive engagement. So this is where you're going to look at your segments and be conscious of who you do this with. Now, picking off the back of this, I think what we're going to see trend is low effort emails. How fun. I never thought that I would ever put this in a slide, but it is piggybacking off the shorter, straight to the point conversation style of emails. These have actually been around for a while, and there is a brand that has consistently done this. We're not really strangers. I love their Instagram. They have a really unique style that I've seen be adopted by people over the years. They sell these like little conversation cards. You can see here that this email was sent from 2022. How simple is this? The problem is with this, if you do not have great sender reputation, there is a chance that this will just get you sent to spam. So if you are planning to do this, what you need to make sure is that you have a welcome flow where you are looking at your data, people are opening, they are clicking, and they are engaging. So we want to have really, really high click metrics. So inboxes are like, oh, okay, cool. Everyone loves Tasha's emails. They go through a welcome flow. They basically open everyone. And now she sends some emails like this. We'll send them to inbox because all of her subscribers love these emails. Okay. And that's really a quickie explanation on sender reputation. So we don't want to be doing these straight off the bat because we could go to spam. And we want to make sure that we're kind of warming our audience up. I don't know how I feel about them. I feel like it really has to suit your brand, but I think that we're going to be seeing more and more and more of this. Will we be seeing this in e-commerce? Maybe not. Will we be seeing this for people in like coach land? Yes, absolutely, along with the ManyChat style of emails. Now, earlier I spoke about something called hyper-personalization. I will say this link here is outstanding. If you want to have a really good read of what hyper-personalization is, some examples, you can actually go and have a read of that. It is amazing. Now, before you get really a bit, oh my gosh, this is so confusing, because this is going to be a really big one for the e-commerce people in the room. Service-based businesses, not so much, but if you have e-commerce software where you have the ability to do something called produce dynamic content, so it's like the content in the email will populate differently depending on the person receiving it. I've got a visual. This is going to be amazing for you. Now, where this is important, and I feel that a lot of people, when I was researching online, they were like hyper-personalization, hyper-personalization. So to do this is really around segmenting. So we do have our segmentation module in Give Good Email, but you can see here of where this differs. Segmentation will put people into broad categories. So it could be something where our people who live internationally are people who live in Australia, people who purchase, you know, the men's clothes or the children's clothes or women's clothes, they'll segment like that. So this is kind of more like your pre-existing buckets of how you would categorize your audience. When we look at hyper-personalization, this brings in data to even go that next level so that what people are receiving is highly, highly, highly interactive. Now, a good example of this is Adore Beauty. They are outstanding. What I loved about this, and Rachel, in Australia, we have like a big, it's almost probably like an online Sephora. They do a lot of like sales emails. They always have a promo, but what I love is they are so good at hyper personalizing. And what's really interesting here is I need to actually buy a new conditioner soon. So isn't it funny that they're like, oh, we've just had like a little sale on this, and we're also doing a promo on Kerastase. So where this is hyper personalized is, you know, if who else do we have on this call with gorgeous, sexy hair? We all have gorgeous, sexy hair. I'm looking at Sam right now because she looks like she's curled it for this call, which, you know what? I feel like you've just set a new standard for how I need to show up. But, you know, Sam may use a different product. She may be like, look, I love L'Oreal, I love Kerastase, but I'm a L'Oreal gal through and through, or I love my Olaplex. So she will get that because this is going to differ based on potentially what she's browsed on the website or what she's purchased. Now, for anyone that is not a Valerie, ignore this. And if you are like, what the fuck's a Valerie? Make sure you do the quiz and Give Good Email. And this will just categorize you. But Valerie is advanced. So unless you are e-commerce, you're probably not going to want to do this because you do need to have dynamic like a software that gives you the ability to do dynamic content. But this is going to be like responsible for such higher conversions. If you are not, say, doing, oh, it's really hard, but like if I had a client and they weren't making more than, say, like if they were getting towards 20 grand a month in email, I would be like, you know what? Let's not even put effort into this. Let's look at our strategy. Let's make sure that we're warming our customers up. But when you get to this stuff, this is what you would probably be doing at like 50K up. All right, where you are like, we are wanting to get our email sales from 50 grand to $200,000. We've got a list of, 50,000 people. This is where I would really focus on this and where you'll probably see like a lot of impact. So again, most of you will get to ignore this, but now when you actually look in your inbox, if you find something that's really, really tailored to you, just see that as a good example of hyper personalization. All right. We're also going to see interactive emails, and you've seen this kick off where Flowdesk has added some more interactive elements, things where people, it's like the email feels a bit gamified. This is another example from We're Not Really Strangers. It's back from 2023. It's very simple. It's very on brand for them. I would add a little bit more, but this is even stuff that you can do in your welcome flow, which is really fun. And what you can have as well as a way of segmenting and even to add some more personalization in, you can add a link tag so that whenever someone clicks this link, a tag is added. And then you may find that, oh my gosh, everyone on our list, they're single, they've got a crush. What's happening here? You may have 70% of your people on your list like that. You can send those 70% a real targeted email, maybe with a coupon code, because they sell the little talking cards where it's like, if you've got a crush, use this to get into bed together, something like that. And you can see here how from that segmenting, we can really personalize that email, not using hyper personalization, but make it a bit more interactive. And then it's just easier to kind of create content with it. So I think that we're going to see that come through as well. All right. Uh, who are the people that love TikTok? Or is it just, I feel like I'm on there multiple times a day. I'm obsessed. If I'm ever not responding to you, I'm probably on TikTok. I'm watching Spencer Pratt on TikTok. But there was this woman, I didn't watch it because I know what I'm like. And I'm like, if I start, my whole week is just going to be gone to this. But she went proper viral from this. Who the fuck did I marry? It was a 50-part series. This went so viral on TikTok. People were obsessed with it. And I have noticed that a lot of people, and I've seen this in Spencer Pratt's comments, and I'm anyone that's coming up that's doing stuff regularly, I check the comments and they're like, I am literally refreshing your feed for something new every minute. I think that we are going to be seeing more chapter-based content. So something where email isn't just something where we are sending out like a random newsletter here and there or a random sales email. We're seeing something where people can kind of like opt into and get like almost like a whole novel that's laid out in email land. And you can even do this, and this is a really fun tactic that I've done that's converted really well, is if I have a little waitlist sequence or a sales sequence and I want people to read every email, do you know the easiest thing that you can do? Put part one, part two, and part three. Because if people get part two, they're going to be like, shit, I missed part one. They're going to look in their trash to find that. And they will go and they will read all of them. I don't think that every email that you can send can be like that, but I feel that for sales emails in a shorter span, it can be fantastic. But I think that we are going to see people, especially even for people that like, I want to create a book or I want to do this, sending out little trial chapters to your audience. Back in the day, Gala Darling, she actually had an offering where, yes, like drip feed content. She actually released her book, I think, to her mailing list. I was going to say Substack. I don't think that existed back then, but it was almost like a membership, and I'm pretty sure someone else did the same thing. MailChimp has the ability where you can like backstore past issues, but this can be something where you can put things on your website as well. Alexandra Franzen is the same. And what I love about this, especially for the writers and the content creators in the room, we need to see emails as not just like a little flyer that we're sending out, but like as part of our library of our body of work and content. So what can we kind of do to like take people along on a journey or kind of capture that content in a way. So you could even put your past issues hidden on a page on your website that's accessed with a code. I'm pretty sure Ali from Electric Feel Co has done that with her newsletters as well. Again, piggybacking off the back of that, we are also going to be seeing chronically online content. We have always seen this, and we've always seen this where people will put like Sex and the City gifs, or they'll make references in emails. You know, popular culture has always made its way to email, but I think that we are going to be seeing more, and we are going to be seeing more trends and more like tea that is spilled in email. I think what's really cool with this would be something I think if you are like a personal brand would be great to write about. Like I know that I could send my list something about like Spencer Pratt on TikTok. Some people are gonna be like, what the fuck? But if they get it, they absolutely get it. If you are more of like a brand, this is just probably something that you're like, let me just sit out here. But what works really well here is, you know, and I've wrote this point here, nothing works in silos. So nothing is like our TikTok is here, email is here, everything kind of works in this beautiful ecosystem. And especially for people that maybe have an audience with a bit of a controversial opinion, or maybe they really feel fearful about speaking up because they don't want people in the comments to see, or they don't want people to know that maybe their political position, whatever it is. This is really good to get people talking and to form a bond with your audience as well, because they write back to your emails. That's not public. It's not like writing back onto someone's post on Instagram. Okay. So this can also be really good if you want to kind of have like that dialogue. And sometimes that dialogue will happen because you openly share a love for Spencer Pratt and you'll be like, oh my gosh, we love some provider daddy energy. What a king. And someone will write back and be like, yes, I'm so obsessed with him. You literally never know what will come of a conversation like that. But again, just make sure that that is on brand for you, which is not everyone in the room. What I've written here is task. Look outside of the vacuum of what other email marketers are doing. You know, what is working well as on TikTok as trending content, and how can we even get that to translate to email? I think when I see people and they're like, oh, I need ideas for my emails, they look at what other email marketers are doing, and guess what they're doing? They're looking at what other email marketers are doing, and then guess what they're doing? You get the story. And this is why we end up with an inbox which just is the same shit. And it's why we're going to see all these ManyChat style emails. So what you can do is you can look to other industries, other platforms, and be like, how would this translate into an email? What would this look like? And especially if you are online and you're browsing on socials, amazing. You've got a task, so you don't feel guilty now. You're like, technically, I'm doing my Give Good Email homework. All right. So they are our little 9 trends, and I guess like what's happening in email land. We'll just recap that at the end. But we do have some challenges and just strategies and just things to be aware of. The first thing is the inbox is evolving. All right. So we've had changes in email. Anytime Apple releases an iOS update, and these are always 2 things to be aware of: what's happening with Gmail and what is happening with Apple. You will have some people that are Microsoft, but you will find if you were to just focus on those 2. Now we are having, and I noticed that Gmail for me just added this, they added Gemini, and you can see here, summarize this email. If you click this button, it pulls up this thing on the side and it pulls up a small summary, and then it will prompt you. It would be like, would you like a longer summary? And I press yes. Do you know what's going to be so funny? You are going to have a segment of your audience, especially if you send very long, info rich emails, that are more happy to play around with a fucking prompt and read this than read the email. So just be conscious that you may find that sometimes people may get some information wrong, and maybe it's not actually how you're conveying it. It could be that they are using AI to help convey the information to them. Then we also have Apple inbox changes. There is a blog post here that kind of steps this out further. The reason that I'm referencing this to you is don't hate me. I've never really updated my phone. I've had it since 2020 and now it's so old I can't actually update it. So I'm gonna have to buy a new phone to update it to even see how this looks. But you can actually see on Apple how we are having tabs that were really similar to what Gmail users have. And for that reason, going back to what I was talking about with sender reputation, it's so, so, so important that we have people that are really engaged with us and make sure that that starts with the welcome flow. And then we have the universal one click unsubscribe as shown in the email inbox. Gmail inbox. So you can see here, this is just a screenshot of mine. If you scroll over, not all of them, but some of them that really register where this is like a blatant newsletter or blatant marketing campaign, you actually have the ability to unsubscribe. Now, it's really interesting because I think a lot of people will be like, we need to make sure that the subject is perfect. I don't even think this is about the subject. I think this is about your brand reputation, what you deliver on email, and everything that's happened in the past. And that's why at the start I said, go and just refresh any entry point to your business and make it really, really valuable and on brand. Because we don't want an email to just hit someone on a bad day and they're just unsubscribing. We want them to open their inbox and really look forward to seeing your business and your brand pop up. But if you find that your unsubscribes have gone up and nothing has changed in your strategy, it could be that they are a Gmail user and it's just really easy for them to filter and clean. So be very just mindful of that as well. We are also having user behavior shifts. Cancel culture is just still rife. If anything, I think it's even getting worse. I think that there is also decreased tolerance for poor communication. People are tired, and I think sometimes they would be fine with brands, maybe sometimes doing a slightly bad job. Now, you just piss the wrong person off on a bad day, you'll get a TikTok made about your business. I don't know. I think that this depends on the business that you have and the brand that you kind of have, but just be conscious of that. As I said earlier, platform preferences and boycotts. People that are like, we are banning Meta or we're not going here. I do not think that that is going to happen with emails because you think about it, bills get emailed through. If you're B2B, everything gets emailed through. So we're really, really lucky there. And then I think that people do have higher expectations for personalization. So they want to make sure that when they're opening an email, that it really is relevant and it speaks to them. This is always something that we have championed in Give Good Email. Fun fact, segmented content can get up to 760% more revenue compared to content that is not segmented. So if you need a reason to send that, let that be it. And this is really what we had in summary. We've got waitlist. For every single person on here, that is going to be something to really look at and bring into your strategy. AI content development, but also using AI to help with workflows and streamline things. Again, that's something we all can do. Authentication and trust evolution. Ideally, we want to be completely authenticated. For those people in the room that consult or work with big organizations, or maybe something where data sensitivity is really important, this is where you can look at BIMI, what we covered in point 3. ManyChat, mostly for the coaches, people that sell courses, that can be really good. Just make sure that you check your spam if you're doing that every day. Low effort emails, so absolutely depends on the brand. I will say too, I've seen this a lot with e-commerce where they'll spend a lot of money on creative. They'll put a really beautiful picture in and they'll just be like, why wear clothes when you have shoes this good? You could walk through naked and no one would be looking at your body. Something like that. And then they'll just have like a little shopping link. So you'll see that in e-commerce as well. Hyper personalization, one for the bigger e-commerce brands in the room. Interactive emails can go for every single one of us. We can make this really fun. Make sure if you're doing that you look at elements of what your email software has. So Flowdesk, for example, has just released link tagging. Even though we don't have tags, we have segments. So if someone clicks a link, you can add a rule where they're added to a segment. We can have chapter-based content, so really good for the content creators and the writers in the room. I will even say things where this can even be good for people that can they sell a service of information. So it could be something like with you, Mariana, where you're like, adopt AI in your business in 7 days, or adopt AI in your business over 6 weeks. And you're doing almost like a mini course. And that can even be something, and how fun is this? You can even release stuff on email and then compile it and then sell it. And then tell your email list, hey guys, thank you so much for your questions. You validated this offer. We've gone through this together as a gift. Here you go. You get it for free. Everyone else that's not on my list, I'm selling it to. And if you're like, you can't do that, I've done that. I have done that with, I ran a challenge on channels, Instagram channels, and we did video content. And then I said, if you want to own it, you can buy it. And now we sell it for like $110, my hot little 10-day money challenge. And then lastly, we have our chronically online content. I will say with that one, you have to make sure that if you are doing stuff that is relevant for this moment, it has to be published that day. This cannot be scheduled. If Spidey has said something online, or if you are like, oh my God, some tea has been dropped about the Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively, as I said, I'm very online, like lawsuit, that has to go out then and there, because next week something else can change. Not suitable for every business, but it could really work. So that is absolutely everything. They are our trends. They are our updates. Now, with our wonderful little call summary, all of this is going to be summarized. So if you get off and you were like, wow, that was a lot, you are going to be able to go back and scan and get a little bit of a recap. But before we stop the call, because we've got a Give Good Email call next. Oh, sorry, Give Good Email. A Business Bang call next, which I'm so excited about. What are our hot little questions? Does that all make sense? Do we feel good about it? Yeah? Okay, perfect. Some of you look unsure, and I don't know if that's unsure, like I'm processing this and refining my strategy, or if I'm sure even if I need to do anything, or where am I starting? Where am I starting? Well, it depends on your strategy, you know? Like some of this may not even apply. You may be like, cool, this is really good for me to be aware of. And maybe you do nothing with it, but then you remember back to this call when you're like, why the hell is everyone doing a wait list? Or why the hell is everyone doing this? You're going to be like, oh, okay, that's why, because this is going to be a trend and something that we're going to see. You can try it. I always like to do things. I like to be first. So you could be like, let me do a wait list for the sake of it. You can do a wait list for absolutely anything. And that's what Daniel Priestley said in the Diary of a CEO podcast. He's like, any idea that we had, wait list straight away. But you can just experiment. Like the thing is with you, Anna, you work with sexy e-commerce brands. This can be something where you're like, maybe I'm going to look at how I can use AI in my business more. And then maybe I'm going to do something where I can release some prompts or write something and put in an email for my clients where they can do that in their own business as well. It's a bit cogs are working and I need to get my bots to do some strategy for me. Perfect. Well, as always, please ask questions in the Facebook group. If you are like, let me go away, I will need to come back, and then I have a question, which is me. I'm kind of the processor where I have to just go and do, and then something comes up, pop it in the Facebook group. Key takeaways for me are waitlist marketing, chapter-based drip feed content. I think that would also be really incredible for your business too, Kay. Leveraging AI, of course. Oh, okay, Sam. Thank you so much. Rachel, I love good series and recommend this for my social media clients. Chapter-based content. What's a solid series? 12 parts, 25. I don't know, pick an idea and try it. I think, yeah. I think that's the thing. And remember, okay, everyone remember this. If there is something with marketing requires you to do something and get data and then refine the strategy. And if it's working, you keep doing it. And if it's not, you just change it. It's not about getting it right the first time. And of course, we want this beautiful result. But for this reason, you can just be like, let me make a bit of an educated guess on what I think would work really well with this. Okay, sweet. Let's try it. What was the uptake like? What is our success metric? Maybe the success metric is we want people to reply. Maybe we didn't get many replies. Okay, cool. Maybe we keep it as a 6-part series, but we're going to make it shorter and we are going to put the call to action at the top, or we're going to sandwich it, whatever. And then you try it again and you're like, wow, that exploded. Okay, cool. That format works. Let's go from a 6-part series to a 12-part series. Okay, cool. People love that. All right, maybe we go to 20, or if they don't like that. And that's kind of how you can approach that. And that's exactly what I would do. Okay, perfect. Thank you for giving me your energy and your time on a Thursday morning. I hope that you have a sexy day, and I hope that you are feeling the Chinese New Year energy. Don't you love that? Like if you kind of really fucked up January 1st, you get a do-over.